Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have a lot more fun. I'm your host, Paul Sanneman. I'm founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where we help contractors build great teams. My guest today is Clinton James from Water Restoration Marketing. That's a pretty narrow niche, right, Clinton?
First of all, thank you for having me on, Paul. And yes, it is very, very specific in terms of the companies that we work with.
So what I'm going to ask Clinton to do is, I'm sure that something works for a water restoration company, would work for a roofing company, would work for any kind of service business, because they all have the same kind of problems. So what exactly do you do for companies?
For us, digital marketing, that can include website design, search engine optimization, Google business profile optimization, the management of paid ads, whether it's local service ads or PPC. We'll also do some social media posting where it makes sense for clients. And also we've got some reputation management software that we implement because we understand whether you're a restoration company, a roofing company, a plumber, reviews are king, right? So you've got to have a solid online reputation if you want to grow your business.
So I'm going to ask you a very interesting question. What if somebody gets a terrible Google review from somebody they totally pissed off that's unjustified? What do you do about that?
Google, honestly, you should reach out to the homeowner, the person that you worked with, and have an honest conversation. See if there's an opportunity for you to salvage that relationship, not just because you hopeful they will take the review down, but also because you want to make it right with that homeowner, that person that used you guys' services there. So that's always what I suggest. Pick up the phone. Don't be shy. Reach out to that homeowner, have an honest conversation, because you might find that they're a lot more empathetic, and that through good conversation, good communication, you can repair whatever the issue that was done, and hopefully turn that negative review into somebody that has a positive perception of your business.
Okay, what if that fails?
Google does have ways that you can go in and dispute reviews. But honestly, if it's a legitimate review, if that's somebody that you did service, you're going to have a hard time getting that Google business profile or getting that review pulled off your Google business profile. I think that's why it's really important. Because anybody in the home service business, you're going to work with hundreds of homeowners and property owners over the course of a year. And you're bound to have someone that has a not five-star experience with you. But you're going to have so many other homeowners and property owners that you provide great work for that have a great experience working with you and your team. So I think it's really important for whatever home service business that they have a process and a system in place so that every time they wrap up a job, if that homeowner has a great experience, they're encouraging that homeowner to go on there and leave a positive five-star review on their Google business profile. Because if you get one that's negative, but you get 99 that are positive, right? It all kind of shakes itself out in the wash.
Yeah, we had that happen one time. We hire lots of people, right? Well, occasionally we don't hire somebody, they get mad we didn't hire them, right? So it's like, so, and they weren't the right person. So we have like 130 Google reviews. We got one person that would, and I think that compensates for it, right? If you have 135 star and you got one 2-star, come on. I mean, obviously it was the person, not you.
I've read some articles online, Paul, that there is more consumer trust for a business that has a 4.8 or a 4.9 average star rating than a company that has a 5.0 average star rating. You'll find a lot of times, especially when it comes to home service businesses, that potential, the prospect that may turn into a client for your business, they're going to go in there and they're going to look at that 1-star review. They're going to see what that homeowner, that property owner said about working with you, and they're going to see the way that you responded to that review.
Right.
So even if you can't get that,
respond effectively. So you've got to respond to that
100%,
review, right?
100%.
How should you respond to somebody that says, hey, you weren't nice, you weren't on time, you charged too much money, and I'll never use you again, or something like that, right? They were having a bad day.
Yeah. First of all, I would reach out to that homeowner first and say, as the owner of the business, and see if I can have a conversation to get a better understanding of how they have that perception, right? Because I don't think it was that business's owner to go out and provide a negative experience for that homeowner.
Right.
And then if I'm going to respond to that review online, very empathetic. I acknowledge, hey, we work with our team and we strive our best to provide the best absolute experience working with us. And sometimes we fall short. Our team's going to be reaching out to you because we want to make this right. If you don't have a chance, please reach out to me and then have the owner provide their direct contact information in that post. I think a homeowner that's looking at that review and looking at that response from the business owner. And it's not like a back and forth, an argument. Like really, they're
Right. You're
taking
not arguing the
ownership of it.
point. You're saying, I understand how you feel. I felt that way before. Is there anything we do to make it better, kind of thing, right?
There you go. Take ownership of it, right? And ask if there's a way that you can remedy the issue. And if you consistently do that to, not negative reviews on your profile, I think that'll go a long way towards other people that are looking at potentially doing some work with you.
Because I know we have a lot of properties we rent out, and occasionally you just got a person who didn't have a good day, right? It's like it happens. And so,
It happens.
but when we're looking for other properties, if there's like 30 good reviews and one person says it was a terrible place to stay, you go, yeah, right. It must have been them. It wasn't the place, right?
Agreed. I like an Airbnb just like everybody else, and you got to read those reviews and take some of the things that people say with a grain of salt.
Right. Like that's fine. Okay. So next I want to ask you, we're in the age of AI, right? Everybody's going, well, it's not SEO, it's some other word they use now. I forgot the new acronym. But how has that changed search, and how do you adapt to it? I mean, because my understanding is AI. The good news, I would say, is AI it does a better job of watching videos and actually, gathering information to pick the right person to choose to send to you. The downside is that AI is destroying other businesses. There's a lot of private equity coming into the market, and they're raising the price of everything because they got more cash.
I would tell a home service business owner that yes, the age of AEO, answer engine optimization, is
There
on
we
the
go.
horizon.
That's the word, AEO.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
It's definitely on the horizon. And whoever you're working with from a digital marketing standpoint should already be on top of this and should already be doing the things necessary to improve your perception for answer engines, right? So there's a lot of things that we do from an SEO standpoint to improve our clients' visibility on Google. But some of those same trust signals and things that Google's looking for in terms of where they're going to rank you, that's exactly what these answer engines, these ChatGPT, Claude, it's exactly what they're looking for as well. So if you've got a good digital marketing agency that stays on top of what the trends are in terms of ranking factors and trust signals, they should be able to position your agency or your business much better with the answer engines as well.
Okay. And so I hear that answer, whatever the AI, his ability to watch videos and literally look at the video and see if it applies to your business. And therefore videos are better than they used to be. It's an important part of marketing. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I would say to an extent, different forms of marketing, whether it's video content, whether it's short form or long form blog articles, whether it's case studies, whether it's featured projects, all of those things, AI is doing a better job of analyzing to help them determine whether or not you're a good fit based on whatever prompt that they got in their engine there. So yes, if you do video content well, make sure the transcripts are in line with what you'd want that potential homeowner or business owner that's looking at your services to think about you, right? So video content, I would not say that that's the number one driving factor in terms of answer engine optimization, but it's certainly one of them, right? And if you're doing a good job in terms of marketing and you're using different marketing channels and you're using video content to boost your authority and show that you provide these services and these service areas, I think you definitely want to stay on top of that as well.
Okay. And you mentioned reputation management. What does that involve?
So for us, it's a full-on system, right? So when a homeowner wraps up a job with a contractor, the best time for that contractor to ask for a review is literally as those workers are leaving that job site, right? Homeowner had a great experience with them. They love the work that they did. That's the best time to strike because there's almost a sense of obligation, right? When it comes to saying something nice about that business. So I would encourage all of our clients to go out and they get QR codes. These QR codes they could literally take with a sticker and put them on the back of every technician's cell phone. As they're wrapping up equipment and wrapping up a job, we ask them to share that QR code with the homeowner. The homeowner scans the QR code. And nowadays, everybody's already logged into Google on their mobile devices. So it's really, really easy for that homeowner to leave a 5-star review. Now, we'd love for that to happen with every single technician on every single job for every one of our clients, but we know no matter how much you beat it over people's heads, some people are going to forget to do that. So we like to put an SMS system in place so that our our contractors let us know the name and the phone number of the person that they wrapped up the job. And we've got an SMS sequence of text messages that goes out, asks them about their experience, and then encourages them to go and write a review on the Google business
So
profile.
what does that series look like? I know if I buy anything anywhere, I mean, literally I could buy something at, CVS Pharmacy or Walmart, any of the box stores. I
Mhm.
immediately get, how was your experience? What'd you think? Rate us on one. It's all this automated like follow-up. It's sort of
Yep.
irritating. Well, actually, so what's your SMS follow-up look like? And what message do you send?
Yeah, it starts very similarly to that, right? It is tell us about your experience with ABC restoration, right? Rated on a scale of 1 to 5. And then depending on what that response looks like, we would send then a follow-up message with a link that would ask them to go and write a review. Now we know that some of the reasons that people don't write reviews is because they don't know what to say. So if a review hasn't been written in a certain amount of time, we've got an AI component to our SMS sequence that literally will reach back out to the homeowner and say, hey, you have trouble writing a review? Here's a suggestion. And the AI actually creates some content that homeowner can then cut, paste, edit, and post as a review. Right? We want to remove that obstacle of somebody thinking, oh, I just don't know what to write. Right? So
Right.
we provide them with that information. And that same AI technology then reaches out to the contractor. It analyzes what that homeowner said about him and then writes a nice response that contractor can then cut and paste as a response to that review. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out of exactly what it is that you want to write when, or a homeowner wants to write when they're leaving a review and how you want to respond to it.
Is this software available to other marketing companies? I mean, you just do restoration, I get it. But you could ask whatever company that's doing your marketing to do some kind of, brand management or
Yeah,
reputation
absolutely.
management.
And a lot of the CRMs nowadays, your Service Titan, your Dash, your 𝗟𝗋, they've got reputation management functionality built into the platform. So depending on what
Mhm.
CRM they're using, they may not have to spend any additional money. It's just a prompt that they go in and turn on in the platform that says, hey, if this job gets marked as won and completed, then great, go ahead and send out this SMS sequence.
Now, I've got this, I'm sure this happened to you. I think AI is disrupting a lot of our industries. In fact, one of the key AI thing guys, I forgot his name, but he was like, it wasn't Sam Altman, but somebody like that, said, what would you suggest your son do? And I guess it's be a plumber, right? It's like, so
I
figuratively, literally, I think if you're selling information for money, you're sort of going to be disrupted one way or the other. But the industries like your water restoration, plumbing, like they're not AI can't. I mean, they've tried to use AI drones to paint. They're not there yet. So, but what is happening, I think, is it's changing the competitive landscape. And I'm going to call it the Walmartization, that many word of construction, where in the old days, it used to be a downtown, had a drugstore, all these kind of different stores. They couldn't find people. They had a hard time. They build a Walmart outside of town. They find 500 people someplace. They're good at marketing. They're good at distribution. They suck all the business out of downtown. Happened a lot, I'm sure. So what I see happening in this industry is that there's a lot of private equity coming in and doing a better job at marketing, just business, because the guy who started he was an electrician, he was a plumber, he was not a business guy, right? So you got some guy who's an MBA, graduate from Stanford coming and competing against him. How do you deal with that? How do you compete against those guys?
well, I think that the way I help my clients deal with that is I become a real growth partner and a strategist for them. Because as you mentioned, a lot of these guys that own these home service businesses, they didn't go to business school. They started as a helper and a technician and slowly moved their way
Right,
up until they decided they wanted to go hang their own shingle. So not only do
right.
I want to help that guy with his digital marketing services, but I want to constantly be involved in my niche, right? I want to be involved in my industry. I go to the events, I read the publications, I talk to other vendors that service the same customer base that I do. That way, if I see an opportunity, something outside of digital marketing that I can introduce to that client that improves his efficiency or makes it so that his business runs better, I want to be able to introduce him to that service or that product or that person that can help take their business to the next level. Because for me, it's not only about being a digital marketing agency for my clients; it's really becoming a growth partner where I can help
So,
them.
so you're like more of a CMO than just a digital marketing guy, right?
That's the way we want to position ourselves with our clients, right? Because digital marketing, it's going to have its highs, it's going to have its lows. Even the most consistent digital marketing agency will have, peaks and valleys in terms of the way that they perform. But what I really try to do, I'll give you an example. A couple weeks ago, we had 6 of our clients from around the country fly down to San Antonio, and we spent 2 days in a room in a hotel masterminding. That means our clients were sharing what's working for them and their restoration company to help them grow and scale, and the biggest challenges that they're having right now. And when I get them in a room with 6 other business owners that have already had experience trying to handle that challenge or have not incorporated something that they're doing that's helping accelerate their growth, that's some great synergy there. So me as their digital marketing partner.
What were the things you're having problems with, and what are the things that are working? Because you were there.
Yeah, so there's a lot of billing stuff, right? Claims, working with TPAs, working with the insurance company, right? A lot of restoration work is done through homeowners or property owners insurance there. So there were a lot of questions, and there were some really some people that have been in the industry for decades in that room, and they were really able to give some actionable items to those folks that are just getting started on how to handle the claim process a little better. A lot of people express some challenges and stuff like what you do, right? Trying to find talent, hire and retain good talent. The trades are a great place to be. Like you said, if you had a son, have him become a plumber or an electrician or an HVAC tech or something like that. It's true, but those people are in high demand right now. And it's really hard for companies to find, hire, and then retain that talent. So they talked about some of the best practices for doing that.
Okay, cool. I know my COO's son just got a job out of high school. He's 18 at 45 an hour as an apprentice carpenter. Crazy numbers, right?
Love that. And he didn't put himself $250,000 in debt with student loans.
Right. That's true. For sure. So this is good info. Now, you don't just do water restoration company. So I have to say, if you have a water restoration company, everybody says find somebody in a niche to do your marketing. I totally agree. I mean, most marketing companies try to be everything to everybody, and they're not that great at anything. They're sort of mediocre at everything. So
I would agree with that.
I would suggest that if you're in whatever industry, and it could be remodeling, it could be home restoration, find somebody who that's all they do, because I guarantee they're going to be better at it than anybody else. Would you agree?
Yeah. There's a few reasons for that, right? There's industry experience, right? They know what channels in terms of digital marketing are going to generate results for what types of services that you offer. They should also have data. I mean, we've been in the restoration space exclusively for the last 8 years, and we track everything that we do. So we have data and can set the right expectations on budget and things like that when it comes to helping our restoration partners scale. And then really consistent output and monitoring and optimization. If you're working with a generalist agency, if they go get more clients that are, instead of, like in my case, restoration companies, they go get a bunch of attorneys that are their clients now, they're going to shift a lot of their fulfillment focus into making sure that they're delivering great results for those attorneys. And they might forget about the restoration company that's been with them for a little while.
Well, I would say if you don't consider your marketing company your chief marketing officer, if you don't have one, you probably have the wrong marketing company. Would you agree?
Nowadays you want to find something that's more than a digital marketing agency. You really want to find what I like to refer to us as a growth partner, somebody that's really invested in your industry and can help you not just from a digital marketing standpoint, but everything that you need to successfully scale your business.
And that would be classically in the C-suite, it's called chief marketing officer, somebody whose job is make sure that you get more clients or the right kind of clients and they're all profitable. And one of my complaints about a lot of agencies is they measure their success on how good it looks, which doesn't help anything. They measure their success on how many numbers you get, which really don't really matter. I mean, I have a zillion followers. Nobody buys anything. I don't care. They should measure their success on the ROI, how much you spend on the agency versus how much it delivers to the bottom line. I think that's the only good metric to use. Would you agree?
Well, I think there's a lot of metrics that you should manage, right? A lot of them that you should measure. But I think ultimately you're right. The return on investment. If I put $1 into this vending machine that is a digital marketing agency, how many dollars do I get back?
Right. And it should be, my guess is 3 to 5 anyway, as a minimum, right?
At a minimum, right? If your customer acquisition cost is significantly higher than 15 to 25% of what you're actually making on that job, it's going to be really hard for you to scale that business.
You can't scale that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, my suggestion, if you have a restoration business, give Clinton a call. And if you don't, take some of this good advice because it applies to all businesses, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Clinton. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me on, Paul.